Okay. Hello, this is Steve, Sailing Alison. Today's video is about building some new companion steps. So, those of you who have been watching the channel for a while will remember that the old diesel engine came out into the cabin, probably about 60 centimetres, 2 feet in old money. So with the new motor really only taking up as much room as the gearbox did with the old engine, I've gained another bit of space in the cabin. What I wanted to do is put in some companion steps, and I've been looking around, you know, the kind of boat jumbles, second-hand markets and so on, and there was really nothing available. So in the end I decided I had to build my own. And luckily at home we had an old futon base, lots and lots of wood, and it's well seasoned, you know, it's got to be 20 years old. So what I've done is I've cut all that up and made the Companionway steps. So you'll see that in this video. The first part of it is these two verticals. And what I did was some research that said that apparently the ideal angle is 72 degrees. So I've cut these at an angle so that they sit at 72 degrees pretty nicely. What my plan is to put some plywood in between the two verticals and then some steps or some treads going down. I haven't quite figured out whether I need 3 or 4 yet. And then I'll put a hinge across the top, so a hook and like an eye bolt at the bottom to make sure it stays fixed firmly when the boat's rocking about, and then maybe like a stick to hold it up so that you can get access to the motor and the batteries. Or maybe, you know, a piece of rope tied to somewhere. I haven't quite decided that yet. So that's my plan, and I think it'll look quite decent when it's done. First coat of epoxy resin done on the back. Right, you can't really see this because the sun is now really low, but I've done the second, there we go, that's better. I've done the second of the coats of epoxy, so now this should be nice and waterproof. And I've also done all of the bits of bare wood that are on the steps themselves. So my task today is to reassemble it, and I'm going to glue the steps in place with some thickened epoxy. That should make it all nice. And then once I've done that, I'll just kind of clean it up with a hand sanding, and then give it the whole lot a couple of coats of varnish. And here is the first iteration of the Companionway steps. I've actually tried it going up and down, not attached yet. I am waiting for the hinge to arrive for the top, and for some cleats to arrive for the bottom, because I'm going to use little bits of string to keep the bottom in place just in case the boat inverts, and I don't want it flapping all over the place. But yeah, very happy with it so far. Right, I've got the backing attached to a hinge, and then I've screwed the side bits to the backing. So now I'm going to make up some thickened epoxy and then put the steps in place. Right, that's the steps attached and glued in place. So I just need to wait for the thickened epoxy to dry off now, and then give it a sand over, and it will be ready for varnishing. Here the steps are now. So I've got a hinge at the top so that if I can lift it up and get to the motor underneath. Morning. You've no idea how good that feels to be able to get down the steps rather than doing a climbing move to get into the cabin. So I've just got a little bit of tidying up to do today. I want to sand down all the overspill of the thickened epoxy from yesterday. And another thing I'm going to do is secure the bottom of the steps to the Companionway floor. I figured out a way of doing that, which I'll show you. So not too bad, just a few bits and bobs to do. I've rubbed down the steps. Looks a bit messy, but I think a coat of varnish or two will sort all of that out. And I have also put these in place. So there's a little cam cleat there, this piece of wood, and so if this was ever to lift up, say if the boat got knocked down, then it's going to stay in place. That's all it's there for. I've got another one on there as well. This piece of string is a little bit too short, so I'll have to replace that. This was my second go around, so I've got some holes to get rid of. Just a bit of thickened epoxy in there, but what I'm going to do is re-drill these holes wider, put thickened epoxy in, and then drill them out again so that these holes are completely waterproof.